My dad used to say, wish in one hand and spit in the other and see which one you got.
That is not what he said.
I was gonna say I heard a different version.
Yeah, that axiom was a little mixed.
And up and up and up and up they go.
She's talking with her hands again. It's pretty cool.
I
thought you were playing the piano.
I have a special place in my heart for investors. That's what they call themselves.
Is it in your heart?
Okay, this is a PG show, sort of.
All right, welcome to Nuhaus Knows, where homeowners go when they need to know. Introducing our host,
Professor Nuhaus, Rob Platt. I'm here with my co-host and partner, Ralph.
Hello, I'm Ralph, also Aaron Michelle.
And I am John the Builder.
That's our thing, John the Builder.
He's getting so excited every time.
I do like
and
her.
now I'm trying to,
John
John
the Builder.
trying to pep it up a little bit. Well, it's working, but I'm trying.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. I still feel like you have like all the excitement of an NPR radio host when you say it.
John the Builder.
John, just go into the microphone and say, jazz tonight.
Today we want to talk to you about the high cost of housing, and that's the end result. We talked about apartments a little bit in our last episode, just the fact that apartments are incredibly expensive. And why are they incredibly expensive? We know that houses are incredibly expensive, which is why people are forced into apartments that are incredibly expensive. It's a vicious circle. And unfortunately, for better or worse, it is capitalism run amok. It's a good system, generally works pretty well, but it's easy to manipulate and violate the system. So where we've gotten now is, and this is kind of fascinating, before we came on the air, John the Builder was talking to us about something pretty fascinating. Talk about it, John.
What the hell was I talking about?
About senior moments.
Rental development.
We really want you to have faith in him.
Sorry.
And I promise you should, even though he doesn't.
In my defense, we talk about a lot of stuff.
We do talk about a lot of stuff, but in fairness, we have Zach sitting next to you, so when a question comes, he can shake you. So,
Okay. So basically what I was talking about before we came on air here, we were talking about there's a development near me where there are homes being built
do
constantly.
you know loosely how many?
I don't know how many. I mean, just based on what I can see and how much has been developed, I'm thinking you can put easily 70 homes in there.
Okay.
So, and there's a nice little sign out front that they're not for sale, they're for rent. And I think that it shocked me.
It did.
It shocked me.
It's funny because you're in the business, and it's pretty fresh to you.
Yeah.
We've been seeing it in some design publications now for months, really, because I would say it didn't really come onto the radar last year. It started early last year. I'd say it started getting more press. And that is developers. Developers make their money by getting land, breaking the land up into lots, which is not easy, putting in the roads, the utilities, all the things that have to come to your house, water, sewer, gas, all that stuff. And then either they build the houses themselves or they subcontract to selected builders that come in and they bid on taking a certain number of lots in the community and building homes in a particular design type. And the only way they make money is to keep buying land, keep developing land, and keep building houses. Well, when we're in a market where the cost of housing is so high,
and just the sheer cost of land acquisition is so high.
Yes, very much so.
So they're starting in the hole.
As I like to say, God's not making any more dirt. So we got all the dirt we're going to get, and it's expensive. And if you've got something that somebody else doesn't have, especially if it's in a particular area, certain proximity to the metro, yada, yada, yada. So at any rate, we've got these houses they have to build them to stay alive. Their company has to keep going. They have to keep producing product. But people literally, with good credit, can't get into these homes because of high down payments, high interest rates, high everything. So their solution,
or just not being able to afford the mortgage. I mean, it's just sheer, the price point is too high. They would not be able to buy groceries and pay for daycare if they had a mortgage of that number.
Well, it's kind of interesting. In 1995, 1996, I was working on a lot of what we call low to moderate income housing, what we would call today affordable housing. And it's just homes that people can afford, starter homes. I got my start in the industry as a designer in North Florida, designing starter homes. As young couples, homes that a young couple getting ready to have a baby, they needed 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a little lot, nothing fancy, cute house. And we built zillions of them. I had developers down there that did one subdivision after another of starter homes because North Florida was progressive and aiming at bringing in lots of young blood. So in the 90s, when I was working in this market, the median cost of a house was $250,000, basically $253,000, I think it was, in '96. Now, I don't know if you've got the numbers fresh in your head, Ralph, but
I'm about to Google it.
are you going to Google it again? It's nearly double. It's 400 change.
Remember to get closer to the mic.
I leaned away from the mic, folks, and I'm being chastised. It's true.
Zachary.
And I know what he's going to duct tape it to my neck.
Find a little saw kind of configuration.
Yeah, there you
where
go.
it's
Yeah. So
do you want to play a
if you
game?
lean too far back, it pokes me in the eye. So but in the mid '90s, we had a median income of loosely $253. Now we've got a median income. She's still Googling, and it's going to pop up in the 400s.
I was not connected to the internet.
That is a tremendous amount of money, and that's median.
All right. According to the Google, according to the data from the National Association of Realtors, the median price for an existing home, one that's already standing, not new construction, was $387,600 as of November 2023, which is BS. Based on my Zillow search in the neighborhood I want to be in that I just conducted 2 days ago.
So, and they're talking median averages around the country. Here in the metro, not so much. Here in the metro and metro Atlanta, we are now, there was a time Atlanta was, what I called it, was a bounce city. You were coming here to go somewhere.
Just because I added the in Atlanta to my Google search, which changed it. In Atlanta, the median home listing is $410,000, which is 2.5% of an increase year over year.
Now, what kind of size houses are they talking here?
These are probably 60s ranch types. Mm-hmm. 1,700, 1,700 square feet.
Which actually dovetails really nicely into. I've been nerding out recently. There's a study that the city of Chambly.
Easy for you to read.
The city of Chambly recently did a study, and we won't go super into it because we actually want to have some people on and talk a little more about this. But the prime points are that they have concluded that ownership sale prices have increased more than 50% inside the city limits within the last 5 years alone. That the median rental price has nearly doubled between 2014 and 2021, which is just insane. And they were saying that 30% of your household's income is what the cost of your housing should be it renting or your mortgage cost, and no one is meeting that right now.
Yeah. So we've got a baseline cost that is obscenely high, and like we've told people, it's more than just buying a house. Buying a house is half the problem. Buying a house, and we can do a whole episode on this alone, but buying a house, comparatively, as bad as it is literally half the battle, because keeping it's the other. Then we've got maintenance costs. When construction costs go up, maintenance costs are up. These costs are remarkably high. So if you can put your 30% of your income toward affording your mortgage, what are you going to do when you run into something that needs to be done? Sewer line needs to be replaced. House needs to be painted. Windows need to be replaced. List goes on. Bad stuff.
Roof, water heater, HVAC,
So,
electrical.
Are you guys driven by my house? Because you literally just listed everything.
Yeah, Zach is very triggered right now.
It's true. And this is going to lead us into a number of other episodes that people are going to love, and they're all going to be too far along for you to care. They're going to be down the road a little bit, but we're going to talk about that stuff. But that, in the here and now, the cost of properties, just attaining a property, is extremely high. We have other problems. We have people that, because there's a shortage of housing, and because a lot of houses weren't built, we have this huge pent-up need, this backlog of housing, needed housing. People that are selling recognize, oh, well, I can get more. We had one of our office members, fine young man, married, has one child. He's a great guy. They just need more space. They're blowing the seams out, and they're looking at growing their family. So they thought about selling their house. When they looked at the selling their house part, oh, well, that was warm and fuzzy. It was great. The numbers looked happy. And he just got all excited about the kind of revenue and equity. I love that equity they have in their home. Then he started looking at getting into that bigger house. All their hopes, dreams, and aspirations died right then and there with a bloody carrot right through the heart. There is no lateral moves, is what I'm saying. The high cost of selling, for someone to come in and buy your house and getting all this equity, what you're going to buy is going to be even more expensive. Because it was bigger, because you need this extra space. And then you start looking at, well, I can move 20 miles out. And that happens. Then we get urban sprawl. We get what Atlanta's doing. We get the city starts moving out into the burbs, way out, and we get these huge developments out, and with remote working, that's great. Some people work at their home. Some people literally commute 2 hours round trip, 3 hours round trip a day. So these guys that you were talking about, we can't mention them by name, but they have done what so many others have done. And Aaron and I have seen this in flyers that come through the industry. We saw last year, early in the year, it was starting to catch a little traction. Builders were actually doing entire developments, brand new homes, subdivisions about the size you're talking, 70, 80, 100 houses a whack, and none of them are for sale. They're all for rent. So they at least can get warm bodies into the house, and part of the contract is you rent the house, and we apply part of your rent. First of all, we start reporting credit agencies, building up your credit and helping you. That's one of the things they do. Other things that they do, and my wife and I did this, holy crap, 30 years ago. You can actually set up a contract where it is legal to have a percentage of your rent go towards a down payment escrow. Very cool. Considering that most people, between the cost of health care, daycare, child care, they can't build up a down payment to move into a house. A down payment that used to be 5% or 10%, but now it's 5% or 10% of a house that's double the cost. So to step into a house, you got to have 40, 50 grand down. But back to the story about our colleague, when he went to buy, or to find a house to buy, there were buying wars. Bidders would step up, and some people, unwisely I would say, were willing to drop another $10,000 above asking price just to get the house and take it out from under the person that's bidding on it. And so we get bidding wars, and we get lots of them. So what they're doing, John, is, I know that it knocked you on your pins looking at it, but it's not a bad idea.
No.
And they're not being nefarious.
No.
I mean, they're trying to
Stay alive.
They're trying to stay alive, and they're recognizing that people can't purchase homes right now. They're trying to give an alternative of, people like me that have young kids, and you want to offer them the life of living in a neighborhood, of being able to ride their bikes on streets that are safe and have a yard to play in and all of the crap, but you can't afford to buy a house for them, so at least you can rent one.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and in time, I would like to have some people that represent these companies come on the show and talk to us about the model. I think the model does a lot of good things. I think that it has the potential to do away with the bidding wars. It has the ability to do away with people throwing down a bag of cash and, knocking you off the list. On the other hand, it can also entice the developer to increase the prices and the fees just because of demand, and they can. And they'll look and see, hey, we only thought 5% of the population would qualify for this program. We're finding out 15% does. We can jack them up a little bit. It's, once again, it's capitalism at its finest. So how did we get here? And now it's pretty common. And this is nationwide. This isn't indicative to Metro Atlanta. This is all over the country. We're seeing major subdivisions popping up all over the place that start out entirely for rent. How did we get to a place where in our little town, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment starts at $2,300 a month? How did we get there? That's some pretty damn scary stuff. This is the United States.
Seems insane. I mean, for that level.
It gives me cramps. Just saying.
Well, how does, I mean, because I left my apartment, which was 1 bedroom, 1 bath, tiny hobbit hole of an apartment.
Yeah.
And when I left, they went from charging me $1,300 a month to charging the next person $1,550.
Yeah.
And that's had changed. Nothing except the new carpet they put in and then charged me for. So how does that, why?
They can. There's a demand. That's the problem. Everybody's got to live somewhere. And we press people, but what we do get is density. I happen to, just so everybody knows, I live in an apartment. I own a home, I own another property, but I happen to live in an apartment for a myriad of reasons. In our complex, we're very comfortable. We enjoy living in a very comfortable 3-bedroom, 3-bath apartment. There's only 8 apartments like ours in the complex. The complex is 250 units, I think. In the other units, one of them, like ours, one of them is a corporate unit. That means corporations put people in that are coming into town. They'll be living there for 3 or 4 months while they're looking for a house. Corporation has a lease on it. They pay the lease. And so we get small families. It's like you would. In the other 6, there are between 4 and 8 people living in each.
Wow.
That's out of the gate. That's how. When we're looking at 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartments, we're looking at 4 or 5 people in the apartment. People are piling in. Same thing with houses, renting houses. People are piling in. And it's not because people are bad. And it's not because they're trying to be mean and they're not trying to break the rules and they're not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. They're just trying to find a place that's warm, that's dry, and is reasonably safe. And they can afford it. And
by sharing it is the only way that they can afford it.
precisely. And we've looked at, we talked in another episode about the pendulum in America, that it swings hard right and it swings hard left. It rarely goes to the middle. One of the funny, hard swings of the pendulum in this scenario is the interest in tiny homes. And they're neat. They're neat. They're cute. It's a neat idea. But no, it's not for everybody. There's a handful of people that are going to live in 415 square feet and be thrilled.
However, what's interesting about the tiny homes is what they did is they challenged precedent of zoning.
Precisely. And they're
which
now
is very,
impacting
very
this.
important, because what a lot of people don't know and don't understand is that when you're building a home, yes, we've mentioned maximum lot coverage and all of that stuff before. There's a minimum lot coverage as well. So there's a requirement of building a certain size house on a lot, which is stupid.
Why?
Because
I have so many whys.
Originally, the idea was when zoning, if you look at plat maps of Atlanta, of greater Atlanta, most of the lots in the city, they were platted in the 1800s. They aren't new. They were platted a long time ago. And they're 50 feet wide and some depth, 150, 110, whatever. And that was the lot size. And then developers came in, and just like we do, and they built a bunch of houses. And those houses were on the average 1,500 square feet. Generally, back then, they were 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, back in the day. People expanded on them. But what they did, they started creating zoning. And it's called an overlay. They take the map of all these lots, and they do a zoning overlay, which is a map on top of a map that says all the lots that fall in this area need to have houses that emulate the houses that are already there. So if there's a vacant lot and you build something, it needs to be similar to all the other houses in that zoning. So you're not doing anything that is unfairly advantageous to you or out of character for the community or something
harmful to your neighbors.
potentially. So they do these zoning overlays. Other countries don't do that, believe it or not. It's kind of cool. Iceland is kind of neat. Their theory is that America, we have what we call high rent districts. It's like if you're in Atlanta, where do you live? Well, I live in Buckhead. Well, that's a high rent. That's a high income community. Or I live in Brookhaven. Or these are communities that are high income communities, which is great and all well and good. It also clusters high cost properties, and all of the people in those high cost properties, they need stuff done. They need lawn care, and they need pest control, and they need handy people to come and take care of things, and they need daycare, and some of them need help in the house, domestic help, from people that couldn't possibly afford to live there. Mm-hmm. So, where do they live? Well, in like Iceland, they say everybody lives together. There will be an expensive home next to a not so expensive home. They believe that the economy, needs to be interwoven, and we all need to live amongst each other. And if people that supply all the services for us live nearby, and they can afford short commutes, instead of having 2 cars in the family, they have 1 car in the family, and they can afford the fuel and insurance on 1 car. But they're happy because they're nearby and they can have a good living. This is a great thing. That doesn't work for us. So now, like Aaron said, the tiny home market, the tiny home idea, challenged zoning. Mm-hmm. And it challenged zoning to say, we got to quit doing this. We got to quit saying the only available land, you can only build this. Mm. That is being exclusionary. That is telling a whole class of people, you can't be here.
Yep.
And we all pay for that. That's just butt stupid. So, and God knows we're capable of being stupid out the wazoo. But now we have got companies like these guys that are trying to answer something and create these large rental communities that are brand new homes. But in truth, how long is that going to last? How long can you follow that model? How long before that model fades out or simply can't sustain itself? We need to do something else. The cost of housing has to come down. And there's a myriad of ways to do that. Now, and give me a minute, Aaron did some great research, but things we've been looking at. How did this happen? Well, COVID was just the most recent nightmare, and Americans have an attention span that usually is the last 20 minutes. So we have a tendency to remember what just happened. And COVID just happened, and that's already fading in our heads. But COVID caused the supply chains getting out of hand. You remember that, John?
Oh, absolutely.
It was insane.
Yes.
It was funny. Like we said before, we used to be able to order concrete on Thursday for a pour on Tuesday. Easily. Now you can order concrete this month and probably get it late next month.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
And am I correct in, like your timelines for ordering windows and stuff are still drastically different than they were pre-COVID?
They, amazingly enough, some of the manufacturers have come pretty close to getting back to where we were in 2019. But it's not across the board.
Yeah.
There's still a lingering.
But there's more, I will say the silver lining of all of it is there's predictability to the timelines now that there wasn't then. So even if timelines are longer now you can predict it and you can plan for it, so it's not messing up your schedules like it was previously.
Yes. It was very difficult. I mean, 32 weeks is a long time to wait for windows.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And again, that's another scheduling issue. But coming back to it, that's the last explosion we remember, the COVID explosion. What if we go back to the big crash, 08?
Ooh.
That's the one. That's the one I don't know. It's like part of us have forgotten about it. There's a big chunk of us that haven't. You know who you are.
I have not.
Amen. And that brought an opportunity. So we had the Great Recession. The economy crashed pretty hard. Lots of Americans lost their pensions. Lots of Americans lost their homes. Lots of Americans were suddenly overnight upside down, equity versus debt in their houses, and they had to sell, and the market was flooded with vacant homes. Good homes, perfectly good homes. 99.99% of them older homes. 1950s, 1960s, 1970s. Homes that have been in the family for decades. A lot of the people that were squashed were retirees. So all these houses flood out onto the market. There's zillions of them. And banks are holding mortgages. Are worth nothing. I mean, they're squat. My dad used to say, wish in one hand and spit in the other and see which one you got.
That is not what he said.
I was going to say, I heard a different version.
Yeah.
Yeah, that axiom was a little mixed up there.
He cleaned it up for you guys.
You would have loved my dad, folks. He was kind of direct. But we had all these houses flood onto the market, and we got the banks that are holding empty paper. That's when it happened. And Aaron can talk to you about some of this, but hedge funds, huge pension funds had massive amounts of money.
Yeah, hedge funds they started back then, and they're still doing it now. But they were buying homes by the grouping.
We had one client that approached us to do designs. They were buying 100 houses at a whack.
Oh.
100 house blocks. The banks were thrilled.
Because at the time, the banks were holding, like Dad mentioned, they're holding these foreclosures. They're, and people don't realize it's not just that the bank isn't making money because they're not getting the mortgage being paid on this. When a home is in foreclosure and there's no one living in it, it creates a cascade failure of all sorts of other things. It's an attractive nuisance that brings in squatters. It brings in teenagers that are going to vandalize. No one's maintaining the property. No one's maintaining the landscaping. No one's maintaining the home itself. There's trees that could fall on top and collapse the roof. It's just, it's more than just we're not making money on this.
Yeah.
And so
it's an ongoing maintenance expense.
So when they have these hedge funds come in that are saying, well, we'll buy 100 of these right now from you, of course the bank is going to go, fantastic. This is now someone else's liability. They're very glad to unload that. And that has snowballed because now you have these hedge funds that are still acting. They're still doing this. And instead of going to a bank and saying, okay, I'll buy your foreclosures, they're going to a seller, a private seller that's selling their home. And they're basically tackling all of the other potential home buyers and saying, well, screw them. I'm going to give you this very large cash offer that's above your asking price. Don't go with that actual family that's going to live there. Come with me. And they're driving up the costing of these houses with these large cash offers. And so what's happening is a hedge fund is coming in and they're buying a house down the street. And let's say, just for numbers' sake, the house was for sale for $200,000. And they purchased the house for $220,000. So then the guy down the street goes, oh, I can sell my house for $220,000 because that is now the comp of this street. And so he puts his house up for sale for $220,000. Then there's a bidding war on his house, and his house sells for now $230,000. So now that's the new comp on the street. So then the next guy who sells his house or her house says, well, now I'm going to list my house for $230,000. And up and up and up and up they go.
She's talking with her hands again. It's pretty cool.
I am.
I thought you were playing the piano.
Yeah, she was getting further
She was
apart.
doing a little jazz.
She was running out of places to go.
Little jazz,
but it's very
John.
true. It's very true. I mean, we're seeing.
I was seeing the street
Yeah.
in my head.
You were, yeah.
We've got these large corporate blocks. They're all over the place. You live in a corporate
I do.
owned by an investment fund.
Yep. Who I've never met. I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
I
And
only
do you have a lease?
Yes.
For how long?
It's a year, but they could, with 30 days notice, kick me out whenever they want.
So the lease is kind of stupid.
Yep.
There we go. So, and that is, I mean, that's where we are. This is the world we're living in, folks, and we've got to do something about it. Erin, because I know her head's going to pop if she doesn't say it. There is a bill that is being proposed before Congress. Ralph?
Yeah. And my head won't pop if I don't say it.
It will.
It will not. Well, what's interesting is, and this really is what's interesting, is that there are people on my Facebook feed that are vastly different from me politically, but I love them dearly. And I just kind of ignore them and scroll past most of their posts unless it's about their dogs or their family. And but they're starting to shout about, because they're finally understanding what these hedge funds are doing, because the inflated housing costs is now affecting their kids, their 20-something-year-old kids that can't afford to buy a house and can't take advantage of the quote-unquote American dream that hasn't existed for 20 years, but, whatever.
20?
Yeah. And they're finally kind of being awakened to this reality. It's like they haven't been aware for whatever reason, and now they are, and it's very interesting to me that there are now people from various backgrounds that are starting to be aware of it. And part of it is because the bill that's been proposed is starting to get traction in the media, for better or worse. I'm sure there are a bunch of people out there that are bad-mouthing it and saying that it's garbage, and that's fine. At least people are talking about it. And basically what the bill is I'm sure it's got, a number and all kinds of things.
Tons of details.
Yeah.
We won't.
But what they're saying that they're wanting it to be cited as is called the End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act. And basically they're looking to mandate that hedge funds can no longer have single-family homes. They want them to sell off their single-family homes within a 10-year period. And if they don't, they want them to be taxed heavily for it, because they recognize that it's killing the opportunities for the average American citizen.
And if we go back before this, if we go back before 2008, and I'm sure you've all seen it. Anybody that has got a little touch of insomnia and turns on the TV at 1 a.m. Will see the infomercial that tells you can get rich in real estate.
Oh, yes.
All you got to do is attend their seminar for whatever the hell
Or
it
if
is.
you've driven on any highway ever, there's a little sign on many of the exits that say, we can buy your house, or we can teach you how
Yes.
to make money buying houses.
Yes. She's now talking with her hands and doing a little dance. It's pretty cool. I'm telling you, we need to make this a show. But at any rate, this is my kid. Hey, you're married to her.
It's cute dancing.
It is adorable, in fact. But we go back to the 1990s is when it started becoming prevalent. People would go to these seminars and think they were going to get rich. They would take money that they had saved for years, and they'd have some idiot tell them how they could go out and buy houses on the courthouse steps, and they could renovate the house and sell it and make a killing.
And then again, in the crash of 2008, this really gained traction.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's because people were desperate. People are desperate. How does that work? The idea was you go out here and you take the money that you worked hard and saved all your life, and your, late 20s, early 30s, you got a nest egg of $15,000, $20,000, which is just a pile of money, and they tell you if you'll invest it, you can get back, you can make a killing by renovating the house. Now let's talk about that word for a minute. Renovating. There is renovation. Renovation is a very comprehensive word. It means you go into the structure and you bring everything up to code. You repair all the plumbing, all the electrical, everything is done. It's very comprehensive, and it's the right thing to do.
And typically you're adding some square footage as well.
They were not doing that.
No.
Lipstick on the pig.
That's right.
Yeah.
Lipstick on a pig. That's what they were doing. They were taught how to put lipstick on a pig. I like to call it, my personal favorite, polishing a turd. You can polish a turd, and if you're really good, you can make it shiny.
If anybody actually watched Fraggle Rock and you remember the trash heap that had lipstick, like that's what I think of every time that I think of this. I think of the singing trash heap with lipstick on.
So the idea is you go into the house and you're going to renovate it. So what you're going to do is you're going to cosmetically cover up everything you possibly can. You're going to repair what has to be repaired. Let me double back. You're going to fix what can be fixed. You're not going to repair squat.
You're going to patch drywall.
That's right. You're going to patch things up. You're going to put some nice looking paint on it. You're going to throw some cabinets in there that look decent. You might open up a wall. I love it. They got these shows on TV that make me want to vomit. We got some good looking girl in tight jeans and boots. And she's just, I mean, she's hottie.
Wielding a
and
sledgehammer.
She's got a sledgehammer, and she runs at the wall, and she punches a hole in it. Nobody does that shit, people. No, we hire people to go in.
I don't know. I think John might.
John does that. He got to blow off a little
He
steam
hires
now
a
and then.
demo crew.
Yeah.
I see John going out there with the sledgehammer.
I've done it. Yeah, I've done it.
Pink tool belt.
Yeah.
Do you wear your jean cut off shorts while you do it?
Yeah,
No
do
shirt?
you do that? Your Daisy Dukes?
Well, I wear that and I cut the sleeves off.
Oh, do
Nice.
you? What a
And
guy.
cowboy boots?
There you go.
Depends on the day.
Okay.
Then he breaks out the igloo, breaks out the igloo cooler and just pours water all over himself.
Yeah,
Shakes his
there you
hair.
go.
How much?
He has no hair to shake.
That's just it. Yeah.
How
all
much
about the
more does
attitude.
that? How much more does that add into the budget to get that special service to have you come out?
John's going to tag
Depends
you
on
for
the
that
person,
one.
really.
Yeah.
Depends on the person. Sometimes we just throw that in.
Your family, John will do it for free.
That's right.
John will do it for free.
That's right. Just throw it in.
That's right. Got his tank top, his Daisy Dukes, and his boots, and he's going to come out and put on a show.
That's right.
Well, but this is what they do. They polish the turd. They make it look very nice. They do a little bit of work to it that opens up the living room or something like that. What they do when they sell it is they suck all the equity out. When they take all the equity out, they run away. They have made a good buck.
If they have survived without going
If
bankrupt.
they have survived. Now, we can tell you, and they frequently, and just truth be known, they frequently do it without a permit. If they can do it without a permit, they'll get away with it. They will try their best. We could tell you horror stories about people who have called us up. We've got to have a designer. We've got to have plans. They have to be ready next week. We got caught building without a permit. They've shut us down. I'm hemorrhaging money. It's my life savings. And we have to tell them, I'm so sorry, you're bankrupt. We can't get it done in time. It can't be done because of the time frames we talked about in our last episode. So it's just not going to happen.
And help me out. What was the rule on no permit builders?
Run away.
Run away. So, but they step in and they use unlicensed subcontractors. It's terrible. Very frequently, neighbors will rat them out, which is great. And that's when they get caught, which is great. But when they get away with it, that's what's terrible. When they get away with it, it's horrible. So you buy one of these homes. You get into this house. And about usually, the Band-Aid will survive.
Well,
that's when things start to unravel and you don't have any equity and you don't have any money to fix it.
Well, and that's the problem. And there was never really a Band-Aid to begin with. It just looked pretty.
Right.
They never fixed if there were foundation problems, if there was an issue with the sewer, if there were electrical problems, if there was a structural problem with the roof. They never addressed any of that, and they also did not disclose it in the sale.
And they're still here. I have a special place in my heart for investors. That's what they call themselves.
Is it in your heart?
Okay, this is a PG show, sort of. So, just saying. And don't give away too much.
I'm
They're going
just
to be
saying,
frightened of us.
You don't like them, so it wouldn't be in your heart.
Well, that's true. I don't like them. And let me say the heart of my bottom.
There you go.
So there we are.
There you go. I was getting you missed.
I had to
I was
get there.
that
I
close.
know.
Hate
I
that
know.
term, but okay. The heart of my bottom.
So, but at any rate, they're still here. They started the decline before the crash in 08. because they were getting very popular. They were getting traction. We were seeing literally hundreds of these homes, so many that it fostered TV shows, dozens of them that make millions of dollars a year.
There's still
telling you
TV
lies.
shows. There's still TV shows based on it.
Yeah.
There's still TV shows based on flipping a house.
We've actually had 3 TV shows call us and ask us to bail them out because they were actually doing a TV show without a permit.
They all do the TV shows without permits because they can't do them with permits because it doesn't fit. Waiting on the permit doesn't fit the filming schedule.
Yeah, it doesn't fit the filming schedule.
And
They
don't
can't.
believe the BS about what it cost. You did not spend $2,000 replacing all your flooring in the whole damn house.
Yeah,
No, you
didn't
did
happen.
not.
Did
Give
not
me a
happen.
break.
They were given materials and they do not disclose
Absolutely.
it.
Got sponsors for a reason.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, give me a
And we'd
break.
love to tell you about the lawsuits that are behind many of these shows. There are scads of them. We actually have one lady that we haven't had the opportunity to interview. We talked briefly, but she was a victim of one of them. And TV show, the whole 9 yards, had the lawsuit. I have no idea where it went. But when they went back to sue the network said, oh, it wasn't our fault. That was the investor. And when they went to the investor, they said, oh, that wasn't our fault. It was the yo-yo that sold us the seminar. And it just gets, and then it was the subcontractors. Well, none of them are licensed. And they wind up trying to basically chase people that even if they caught them, even if they brought justice to them, there isn't any money to get back what they need. So they started creating these elevated property values because of what Aaron said earlier. It wasn't just the hedge funds. They actually pioneered this, and that was these investors would buy the house for whatever they bought on the courthouse steps. They'd put lipstick on the pig. They'd sell it for an elevated price because it was, a nice looking property. They did a good job with the lipstick. And then the guy next door says, well, my house is a toilet, but they got $275 for theirs. Well, theirs was, quote, remodeled. I won't say renovated because that's, it was remodeled. His isn't, but he doesn't see that in his head. He just says, I'm next door. I should be able to get $275 for mine.
And the comps don't care.
And the comps don't care. So
The comps.
yeah, when you go to get a loan, the bank says we want to see what houses are selling for within a half mile.
Or does that mean comparative?
We want to see a comparative value within a half mile. Well, they're going to pick up a couple of polished turds that were, elevated pricing. And so this person can sell their dump that has nothing done to it, and they get $275 or $250 or whatever.
Because it has the same number of bedrooms and bathrooms, and that's all that they compare.
Then you start the artificial climb of property values, and it goes like crazy. That just dovetailed into the very same thing that we feel the hedge funds have done. They just turbocharged it.
Well, and the hedge funds, I have not dove into the research to support this, but from what I understand, they artificially drove up pricing on purpose. A certain number of them
Yeah.
during COVID times.
There have been some fabulous articles. 60 Minutes has done. I encourage you to go to 60 Minutes. They have got some incredible articles on hedge funds, specifically in Atlanta and Chicago, and the percentage of housing impact that they own. It's scary.
According to the Urban Institute, a report that they found, there are 574,000 homes owned nationwide by large institutional investors. And these institutional investors own at least 100 properties. And this is as of June of 2022.
That's
Insane.
I don't know how do we combat this by saying no. And I don't say this enough, and I should say it every episode. The whole point of this show is we're bringing to you what we know is a fact because we live it every single day. We live it from the design side all the way through construction. We represent years of experience doing this. I mean, we're here. And all we can tell you is the one thing you can do is say no. If enough of you say no, believe it or not, the market responds. If enough of you say no, they have to drop their prices. If enough of you say no, they're not going to sell their products. If enough of you say no, you can change things. If enough of you know the right questions, we're trying to help you know what the right questions are. You ask those questions, and when they look at you like a deer in the headlights, you'll know it was a good question. Mm-hmm. Those are the questions you want to ask. We want to have you asking the right questions. We want you asking, and we'll talk in a next episode, not the next, probably soon though. Ethan has said, how do you choose a builder? We're going to show you what those questions are. And does that builder have insurance? Does that builder have the experience to work on the kind of project that you want done? Does that builder have the kind of financial backing where if they make a mistake, they can back it up? There's lots of questions, and if their answers aren't adequate, you look at them and with all of your might, you say, no, that's all. No. And you move on to somebody that listens.
No is a full sentence.
Yes, it is. No is your power. And we want you all to band together because the market isn't going to change until you change it. You have been misled up until now. You're being misled by TV shows. You're being misled by shows that tell you that it's faster, cheaper, easier. They're lying. It's hard. It's expensive. It's complicated. But there are people that can help you through it. And it can be done reasonably, and it can be done for reasonable cost. And you can think your way through things. But you have a great deal of responsibility as a listener. Don't be stupid. Stupid is knowing better and doing something anyhow. Right now, many of you may be ignorant. You don't know better. We're trying to fix that. We're trying to give you the knowledge so you do know better. From this point forward, you don't want to be stupid. Pay attention. This is coming to you right now at a very low cost, free. That's a good price. So listen to what we're saying. And, there's going to be a lot of people that really dislike what we have to say.
Oh, yeah.
And we're a little nervous about it.
Well, truth sucks,
Doesn't it?
Sometimes truth sucks.
It does.
Yeah, sometimes you don't want to hear it, but sometimes you need to hear it.
Yeah. And so, tune into our show week after week. We will regale you with our brilliant humor, our spiffy help who have got...
Our nerd facts.
Yes, our nerd facts and poignant questions. But in sincerity, we're going to help you get to a place that you're going to be empowered. And when you're empowered and you have answers and right questions, you're going to take control back. And we can see this thing turn around. So until next time, this is it for Nuhaus Knows.
Hey everyone, it's me, Zach, your favorite button pusher. Wow, what an episode, am I right? I mean, so much information. Listen, we want to share the good word of Nuhaus Knows with everyone, and we need your help to do it. So, I need you to go on to Facebook, find Nuhaus Knows, Nuhaus Knows. We need you to go onto Instagram. We need you to go onto TikTok. We need you to go everywhere you can go. Spread the good word. Tell your friends about this podcast because we have a lot of big plans going forward. And we want to spread the good word, spread the message. We're also going to be getting a Patreon set up really soon. So keep your ears open for that so that we can tell you all about that. And you can get all the inside goodies about past jobs and all the craziness, and I don't know, maybe even see our faces a little bit more if you want. I don't know, I think we're pretty. So why don't you go on, find all of this so you could join us and get all the updates on what's going on with Nuhaus Knows as they come out. All right, talk to you guys soon. Bye.